just thought that while I had good weather, because before long we won't be able to do this. And if you noticed how I talk, changes just a little bit when I get down here in these mountains. It's just because I speak the language. Mountain people, I'm telling you, they're the best. But if you look, and like I told you, I was raised up between three mountains. Right there's one of them. It goes right around the back of the house. If you go that way, across the hayfield, that's another mountain. And we just hanging out, like I said, on the porch, because look how beautiful. Look how beautiful. I don't think I will ever. Let me see if I can get a little bit of that. The colors in the mountains and the clouds. No matter what, this always is. You see the downed trees from the flooding earlier this year. That we got to figure out something to do with them. Got to figure out there's still a mess down there, and there's still work to be done. It'll get done eventually. The hayman came and took care of a lot of what was down in the bottom. But yeah, these mountains. These mountains are what made me, me. I've always had good neighbors. Always been surrounded by good people, regardless of which generation of my family was here. Yeah. These mountains are beautiful. And I could just sit here. I sat here earlier for hours. Well, not exactly for hours, for an extended period of time. And just took in the beauty. Even though if you look up towards the top where they've been logging, you can see the power lines. You used to couldn't see that. They've been logging up in the mountains up this way and down yonder by the barn. It used to be the road ended up past the barn, and now where they've been logging, you can go up that way a little further. And it's still home. It's beautiful. I hope that what they're taking out, they're planting new trees back. I really do. Because these mountains are something that you just gotta experience this life. I grew up, see, I think I may have talked about this before, but if you see right here on what's my left holding the camera, you see those down trees. Right in there, the furthest one to the left, right in there was where my grandparents' outhouse was. Now, we can go right over here, and I'm not zooming you in. That's where the house was. My grandparents' house stood there for many, many years. So you'd have to trek all the way over there to the outhouse, and Papa always kept it sewn up in hay. It was fun. That man could shoot a snake. He'd put me on the back of the horse or the mule or whatever he had at the time, and I wasn't allowed to walk the path because snakes, and it'd be, like I said, grown up in hay. And so he'd put me on the horse, and when the steps to the outhouse was tall enough that I could get off and back on the horse. So if the horse stopped, that meant there was a snake. Now insert mule or whatever else he had, because he was a horse trader. Um, but it always amazed me how fast he could be working in the garden, doing whatever else. But it seemed like the second that horse stopped, he was on it. And, you know, he'd shoot the snake, and that would be that. And we'd go on about our business. We'd go up in the mountains and uh, we picked blackberries. And I wasn't allowed to put my hand out to pick the actual berry. I was allowed to hold the bucket on the horse or the mule, whatever he had at the time, because the snake could bite me. So I guess I was spoiled. And when I first came down here, right down yonder where you see that trailer, used to be where the school bus stopped. Well, the first day of school, I didn't think it was a big deal to walk down there. And it wasn't. You know, at the time, this was just mud. We had to do a lot of grading and all that. Dad had, when I say we, I mean my parents, had to do a lot of grading and all that neato stuff. So there was a whole lot of mud. And we had rocks. We didn't have this porch. We didn't have these stairs. We had rocks and a little path. And I'd take one pair of shoes and a Kroger bag, or a Walmart bag, or a Kmart bag, I think it was. Walk down to the bus stop, switch shoes, and put them in the bag to put back on whenever I got back home. And it seems like my memory may not be accurate. It seems like the neighbor had a fence, or I hung them on the fence post. I don't remember taking them to school. But it seems like there was a fence post up closer this way. And I'll have to talk to Mom and make sure that I'm correct on that. I don't ever remember actually carrying them on the bus. So I think that the neighbor let me hang them over their fence, or we still had the old fence line up. But yeah, that was, and years down the line when my nephew went to school, he got picked up in the driveway. He didn't even have to walk all the way down there. Y'all kids got it made. But yeah, I just wanted to share my beautiful mountains and this scenery with y'all, and just kind of tell you a little story or two from the mountains that made me. And even though, when I say that I grew up down here, understand that that's true. Also, two things can be true at the same time. My father was a career soldier, and we were in other places. Other than the time we spent in Alaska, we still came here. This was still home, these mountains. And so, we visited often, so I grew up here as well as the other places. But as time moves forward, fewer and fewer of the people that were once our neighbors are down the road, and the faces changed, or have changed and continue to change. And remind me to show y'all, because I meant to do this last week when I was down here. There's different kinds of waves for mountain people. And remind me, I'll show y'all. I started to do a video on that last week, and then I didn't get around to it because there's so much that was going on. But I thought whenever it hit me, it's like, this is a video. Kind of cracked me up. But this is getting about 10 minutes, so I'm going to just end it and let y'all have a little nugget of my life. Guys, look at those beautiful mountains. I mean, yeah, I'm ready to retire. Y'all have a good one. Remember, I am the mayor's daughter. I see you in the next video.